Dear chess friends, welcome to my YouTube channel. As promised in my previous video, I'm excited to present my massive database here that took me probably about 2-3 months to work on. It's really by far the biggest database that have been published on my site, and the title is Lifetime Slav Chebanenko Repertoire for Black. Now, it will be a very big file where I try to cover all important lines in details. Now, immediately I want to answer the question, those who would say, well, it's a big one, how to memorize all the lines, and you shouldn't. Trust me, guys, nobody remembers like everything in chess theory, but you slowly start working, moving with the lines, like maybe 10 moves, next time 12 moves, then you get experience of the board. And I always say that it's better to have the line covered in your file than at some point you get to the situation that your opponent plays this and suddenly it's missing, right? So there could be this situation easily happening nowadays. Okay, guys, so before we are moving to the material itself, I would like to remind you guys, I would really appreciate if you like my video. Subscribing to my channel helps a lot. Of course, it's very recommended to hit notification button so that you will be one of the first to see the material, and maybe before other people get to this you can already score points of the board. And any comment appreciated. I'm answering everything, every comments on like underneath every video. So let's move to the material. So the starting position after move 2, so it's a Slav Defense, as we know, and you probably heard that my choice is Chibanenko Repertoire. What is Chibanenko Repertoire? The Chibanenko variation, actually it's move a6 in this position. Why I decided to make this choice? I just feel that obviously in this position black has I would say 3 major choices. First of all, dc4, which is classical Slav. By the way, I have classical Slav repertoire published in my Grandmaster series with Quality Chess. I think it was back in 2012. There are many force lines. I mean, it's a good opening, it's an excellent opening, no questions about, as well as another move e6. But there are some very developed lines, like for instance Morozevich system in the main line where the theory starts after move 20. So almost everywhere you have stuff like this, like whether it's Semi-Slav, Meran, or classical Slav. So I wanted to avoid this situation, and just I kind of like realized with a6 it's very hard to find so like a well-established theory and so many force lines. And I really like this choice. Now, by the way, guys, if you don't know, it's very important that this variation, Chibanenko specifically, was the last opening of Garry Kasparov before he retired. So he believed that it's pretty dynamic choice. That's what interesting. Now, we have, like in most of the lines, we have Chibanenko setup. By the way, named after, as far as I understand, the player from Moldavia that actually was a coach, one of my friends. So it's a well-known person in Moldavia, and so he invented this setup a6, and nowadays it's very popular. Talking about players who consistently play, it's hard to find the players. I would rather highlight maybe Lenier Dominguez and Hikaru Nakamura. I don't know if we can consider Hikaru Nakamura like games because, well, obviously there will be 99% blitz games, but still, he has been playing this. I mean, I also noticed in some like rapid chess in St. Louis, but on the other hand, from time to time, you can see every top player playing this. Like you can find a lot of Magnus Carlsen games, Fabiano played, like almost everyone from time to time they play, or maybe they choose this setup in some specific variations. That's also a possibility. And so it's always considered to be reliable, always very solid for black. So, and I'm very happy that I was able to compile all the files together, and so that would be our repertoire. So guys, let's start with position and let's discuss what will be covered here. Now I will start with 5 different moves. Now so it will be knight f3, knight c3, all natural, cd5, e3, and bishop f4. I took also a quick look on bishop f4. Now very common question, how we play for win against Slav exchange. Basically every student of mine who has been playing Slav asked me this question at some point. Now the answer is very simple. We still go for Chebanenko setup, and white has very solid position, no questions, but at least we avoid a very forced lines that might happen after move bishop f5 here in this position. So we choose a6 and we play, and you know, I'm not aware of forced lines that like going into like repetition or end games. So we just play and we hope to take over in late phases of middle game or even end games. And I think it's pretty much fighting. It's pretty much fighting. Just you need patience and play play accurately, of course, in the opening, and it should be okay. It should be okay. Now e3, knight f6 will be like usually it's knight f3, knight c3. Now some interesting move, queen c2 will be covered. Now, as I wanted just to highlight this line that in the majority of the lines I choose a6, but for instance here I decided also to vary a little bit. I believe it's a great idea here to have Schlechter setup because queen c2 is not the best move. Because, well, one of the reasons that bishop f5 comes at some point with tempo also, and in general it's important tempo that helps black to at some point just to carry out c5. Just wanted to show you this idea. Of course it's very far from being the main line. Now knight c3, knight f6, e3 will be the main move. Now bishop f4, bishop g5, there is a coverage. If those moves are not very serious in both cases, we take dc4, but just that you know that it will be there, right? Now e3, so here Chibanenko setup, and there will be 6 moves. Now 2 major moves here, queen c2, and so after queen c2, and this is very important, instead of playing b5 in this position, which is probably like more in Chibanenko style, I go for this kind of like hybrid between Semi-Slav and Chibanenko, and I like it very much. So there is a lot of flexibility. We can sometimes strike c5, we can take dc4 followed by b5, we can just leave this pawn structure and start playing like in Semi-Slav, bishop d6, knight d7. Very interesting play. Now after move knight f3, my move is 6 as well. So I don't play b5, I don't play bishop f5 as suggested in my book, Grandmaster Repertoire, Slav Defense. Now the theory is like very well developed. Bishop f5, there are some forced lines. It would be very hard for me to answer the question like how to play for win, you know. And this move I was always wondered, it's kind of like a little bit forgotten move, but you know guys, this has been played by Vishy Anand in his world championship match against Boris Gelfand, and I remember being on Boris Gelfand team. We analyze a lot these positions. It's actually like really nice positions for black, very reliable, just a normal Slav. Again, detailed coverage, 6 moves for white in this position, with the main line being b3, preventing dc4 followed by b5, so that white can recapture now with the b pawn. And now that's a very important idea, bishop b4, forcing bishop d2 practically. It's a well-known trick that if you play bishop b2, we just attacking knight on c3, and at some point he has to play rook c1, and we can take queen a2 pawn. So that's a really not a good idea. Therefore the point of bishop b4, which is very unusual for Slav, is to force bishop d2, and then we play knight d7, bishop d3, castle, and now we'll have move bishop d6 in this position, preparing e5. So a little bit this idea of bishop before d6 back resembles a little bit Catalan style. Now 5 different moves, very interesting pawn structure with a lot of ideas. Now, if I'm not mistaken, rook e1 and queen c2 are top choices, but very important to understand this question, what happens with e4, how we react, and it's dc4, of course, bc4, e5. So everywhere, very double-edged, complex game. You know, I don't see any force lines that require memorization of 20 plus moves, and that's basically what I like about this variation. So that's very important, very important what I wanted to mention in this line. It's one of the major setups for white with knight f3, e3, so we still choose we still choose a6, and now finally let's move to the main line, knight f3, knight f6. So we'll definitely talk about knight c3. Now 6 moves will be covered. Knight d2, my choice is bishop f5. With knight on d2, I don't see much point to play a6. You know, we are not stuck with a6 everywhere. We play this move in the majority of the lines, but now knight d2, bishop f5, I believe it was my recommendation in the book, and I still believe this is the best move. There will be full coverage. Knight d2 is quite tricky move. What happens with g3? That's a Catalan style position. Yeah, at the game there is not much point to play a6 here, so we just playing for bishop g4, classical setup, e6, knight d7. g3 is not an easy system, requires some serious knowledge, but I didn't find any problems for black. Now the moves, so queen c2, it's already well known. I have a6. I was trying to make a6 work in as much as possible, so it was a little bit surprising. My recommendation in the book dc4, I was a little bit surprised that a6 ideas are actually working here. And sometimes, guys, it's not only idea b5. Sometimes it could be just a waiting move. You know, for instance, if he plays knight c3, we can take dc4. If he plays e3, we can switch to another systems like Schlechter potentially, or e6. I think we go e6 here, and so on. So sometimes the purpose is just like a little bit waiting move, kind of like useful almost everywhere, and useful move in the opening. Now, queen b3, the move that actually I have my course here on Chessable with recommendation queen b3. I used to play it quite a lot, and now dc4 is the main line, but I was fascinated to discover that a6 is actually a very interesting move as well here. And works pretty well. So pretty, it's not top 2-3 choices, I guess, in this position, but it appears to be quite nice. Was very happy to make it work in, and now finally we are getting to e3, a very positional system recommended in my book for white, Grandmaster series. So definitely a6. We go for Chebanenko style, and when I work on the white side of this opening, I knew that it's one of the good moves here, together with bishop f5 and bishop g4. So there will be nice coverage here with 5 different moves. After bishop d3, we jump bishop g4. So that's one of the ideas, definitely. And there will be other moves like b3, we jump bishop f5. So you see, guys, it's like, as I mentioned, it serves as a little bit waiting move. Like we want to see what setup white prefers, and then we can react accordingly. You see, we can like bishop g4, bishop f5, also like a6 helps a little bit to defend against coming queen b3. So after this, we can we are not forced to play everywhere queen b6. We can play b5, for instance. Yeah, that's important. And finally, I want to get to the main line and main position of basically Chebanenko variation. So, well, there are 2 versions actually. And now here we will have a classical position with the 6 move covered. CD5 mostly will transpose to exchange Slav with one like line bishop g5, which will be covered separately here. No problems for black. Now there will be g3. So Catalan style. So here I tried to make b5 working. So I was fascinated by this move. I didn't want to play dc4, this Catalan style position, like grabbing the pawn. I prefer to avoid this. So b5, I made it working. Very complicated, pretty new positions for me. Like sometimes it's close type, c5, and so on. Now, instead of now we have queen c2, kind of like a trendy move here, played a lot by German Grandmaster Bluebaum, that you know from my videos. I have a lot of respect to his opening ideas. So we go dc4 and we grab the pawn e4 b5. So we have to do this. Not so many choices. Now, and finally, in my opinion, two major choices for white, two major choices that I used to play for white. So first of all, a4 to prevent move b5. Our setup here e6. Now, different moves, but definitely the most challenging. And we play a5, and we send our knight towards b4 square, castle. Very, very reliable. Like I would say, kind of like very accurate position in the beginning. So, but we need patience. We need patience. We slowly develop our pieces. We put the knight on b4. We play b6, bishop b7. We try to break c5. Now, if possible, trade the dark square bishop. If knight comes to e5, knight d7. Just if you know those ideas, I couldn't discover any problematic lines. It's very reliable. Again, nothing is forced. There will be always a lot of pieces on the board. So, I mean, there will be possibility to win games for black. So that's my main point. And finally, guys, maybe the most challenging out of all, and that was very important discovery, c5. That I have a great memories with this move, winning some important games. Now, I always consider this being the most challenging move, actually influenced by opinion of Vladimir Kramnik, and we worked together on those moves c5. I'm not even sure whether he actually scored some important wins, but I did really benefit from this work, I can tell you honestly. And so usually, so what I discovered here is very interesting. Now, the main moves in this position are knight d7, statistically, knight d7, bishop f4, so on, so that was a lot of focus. g6, bishop g7, I consider to be a little bit passive, because it helps with white setup, bishop f4, like white has a comfortable setup here, bishop f4, e3, h3. Now, I thought, to be honest, when I started my work, I thought about building the repertoire around bishop f5 move, which I analyzed a lot, and I thought black is doing overall pretty okay, very reliable positions. But to my great surprise, I actually discovered this relatively new idea, at least for me. It appears that we can undermine the pawn structure right away with the move b6. Practically, cb6 has to be played. Now, one of the good news that white cannot hold on this pawn on c5, so we undermine a5, and already like black is a little bit better here. Now, cb6. And knight d7, it's a super important move. Lenier Dominguez games drew my attention here. I think I had some notes about move queen b6, but it was pretty much well established that knight a4, after knight a4, white has definitive pressure here, c5 square, c6 pawn, and so on. But I was very impressed by approach of Lenier Dominguez here, where knight d7, and you know, we are not saying we take knight b6. We just like, we want to see how white exactly develops. Now, one of the main lines that I want to highlight, there will be, instead of a3, I will have a coverage of 5 different moves. After a3, we still take queen b6. We still take queen b6. Now, I guess like a3, not the most useful move. He could like probably bring his pieces without move on a3. Knight a4, we play queen c7. And now, you know, guys, it's interesting that for me, it was interesting discovery that besides obviously the main plan where we want kind of like get rid of our weakness with c5, quite often the idea just to develop a5, bishop a6, and then e6, bishop d6, and just like one weakness on c6, it's hard for white to do anything with this weakness. Now, the line here, g3, I thought it's a very critical line, also recommended by well-respected theoretician, Cheparinov Ivan, and so his modern chess course. So e6, bishop f4. So that's the idea. The idea not to develop bishop g2. I don't think it's a good diagonal, but rather to have bishop f4 with tempo. So this setup now what we can kind of like, what's our counterplay against just white piling on c file, rook c1, queen c2? It's not only c6 pawn. So for instance, idea if I like there is a move a5, so that what was covered, but I have actually a new idea here, e5. So obviously we have our like as usually in Slav, we are looking for the breaks, like e5, d5, knight e5, and we have very interesting. There are some fascinating lines here in this position, and you know, guys, that's more or less, I think, kind of like good overview for the short video. And it's never, for me, it's never short. I want to do it as short as possible, but you know how you can, in my presentation, it's full Slav repertoire. You know, it cannot be short. Obviously, everyone is interested to see specific lines. Hopefully, I did a good job here. And guys, as I always say, you know, you're interested in PGN detailed file that will carry out you for many, many years ahead. Please head over to my website, Ask-Avrukh.com. You can download. There is only one advanced format there. I think suitable for every level that interested in the openings. I would say like 1700, and I have a lot of GM customers. If not, guys, you already got quite a few interesting ideas from my video, so you can build, relying on this material, you can build your own repertoire, do your own research. I think it will be very useful for you. And as always, guys, thanks for watching this video, and hopefully to see you soon with the new material.